Hi, this is Shannon, and I'm going to be doing a recap of the pre-reading we've given you. It's on experiential learning in higher education, and it's by Alice and David Kolb. Experiential learning theory draws on the work of 20th century scholars who gave experience a central role in their theories of human learning. The experiential learning process is a multilinear model of adult development that has 6 tenets that all of the scholars share. Adult learning is best aided with feedback. All learning's relearning. Differences aid learning. Learning changes how we think, act, and feel. It happens when we interact with the environment, and it's a process of creating knowledge. The experiential learning theory model is divided up into 4 parts. So Kolb thought of this cycle as a spiral shape where learners cyclically touch all 4 bases over and over as they continually learn. So these 4 bases actually mimic the way our brain works. So our brain has 4 parts to it: our frontal cortex, our temporal cortex, our sensory part of our brain, and our premotor and motor part of our brain. So the bases are actually representing these parts of our brain that we use to do these different things. So experiential learning theory has 3 stages based on our age. So from birth to adolescence, that's when basic abilities and cognitive structures develop. Then after formal schooling, life experiences, and early work, we become more specialized, and that's when we start to develop a particular learning style. So we're moving through those bases in a certain order or pattern, and those become more entrenched. Then from mid-career and beyond, we have integration. That's when non-dominant learning modes are expressed in our personal life and work. So as we get older and we have more concrete experiences, that's going to increase the complexity of our thinking, acting, and reflection. Kolb found that there are 4 general learning styles, which are the preferential movement through the learning bases. So I want you to look at the following 4 styles and think about which one you might be. So we've got the diverging style. This is often an artistic person who's imaginative, emotional, they like brainstorming. They are more centered in concrete experience and reflective observation. Then we've got the assimilating type, which is often science careers. They're more interested in abstract concepts than practicality, so they are dominant in abstract conceptualization and reflective observation. Then we've got our converging style, which is often for people in technology careers. They like to do technical tasks rather than social tasks and solve problems. Their learning style is often in abstract conceptualization and the active experimentation basis. Then we've got the accommodating learning style, which is action-oriented and can be found in careers like marketing or sales. They like to rely on people for information, and they like to learn from hands-on experiences. They are centered more in the concrete experience base and the active experimentation. David Hunt actually identified 4 more substyles, which he called the northerner, the easterner, the westerner, and the southerner. And then balancing style was also created by Kolb after that. What Kolb wants you to think is that it's 9 regions of learning styles. So we're not pigeonholing people into one type. He wants to show that it's a dynamic state, but that where you are on this grid is going to change how you see things and how you experience reality. Therefore, experiential learning can be viewed as a process of moving through the learning regions influenced by the person's position in the learning space. Kolb calls this ability to adapt flexibly to changing learning contexts locomotion. So an example of this would be, in my field, there's lots of graphic designers that are really artistic. Then there's lots of people who are more technical and they're really good at coding, which is more mathematical. If someone is able to switch between artistic, graphic design, and coding to make a website, then they can have a more well-rounded view of their work, which leads to higher learning. To demonstrate this idea of locomotion, Kolb did a comparison between students in an arts education and a managerial education, which were totally different, as you can see in the comparison chart. So he plotted all the students onto this sort of grids before and after taking the programs. So he found that students in the art program started off feeling oriented, and then over time, the study showed a movement from reflective Eastern regions to active Western regions. So that indicated that there was student growth and development towards a more active role in their own learning as a result of the empowering active structure of the arts learning environment. Similarly, students in the business program started off thinking oriented, and they moved from reflective to active experimentation. So this just shows that in order to learn any skill, students must develop the ability to move through experiencing, reflecting, thinking, and acting cycles. To fully develop the whole person requires an educational culture that promotes diverse learning spaces and locomotion between them. To conclude the article, Kolb recommends some different ideas to enhance experiential learning spaces. You can see those below. And since I don't want to go too much over time, I'd like to conclude here. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next activity.